Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and this is actually the last interview we are doing with the members of Crime Writers of Canada who have been shortlisted for the Awards of Excellence 2023. Joining me today is children's author Marthe Jocelyn, who has lived in many places, including New York City and the UK, but currently she's calling Stratford home. She has written over 40 children's books, and in 2009, she received the Vicky Metcalf Award for Literature for Young People, an honor bestowed by the Writers' Trust of Canada to a writer or illustrator whose body of work has been inspirational to Canadian youth. Since then, she's won many other awards, including just a few weeks ago, she won an Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Juvenile for her book, Aggie Morton Mystery Queen, The Seaside Corpse, which has been nominated also by Crime Writers of Canada for Best Juvenile or YA Crime Book, sponsored by Shaftesbury. Marthe, can I ask, you've written many books, 40 as you say, but the Aggie Morton Mystery series seems to be your first foray into mystery. Is there an inspiration of why you wanted to write them?
Yes, I'm afraid I'm going to have to correct you right off the top.
Sorry.
It's Aggie Morton, not Angie, and it's Aggie because the inspiration is Agatha Christie, and so the idea is that Agatha Christie it's an imagined version of her as a 12-year-old girl detective, and it's set in 1902 and 1903 when Agatha Christie herself would have been 12 years old. So there's a historical aspect, and there's the idea of Agatha Christie as a young poet, as someone who's curious about crime, and she does, in the course of the 4 books, she stumbles over 4 corpses. So there's real murder in the books as well, so that so that the reader, and certainly the adult reader, can imagine this is the beginning of Agatha Christie.
Yeah, I'm so worried about saying your name wrong. I got Aggie's name wrong, so I'm sorry about that. She also has a little friend who becomes inspirational in her life too.
Yes, her best friend in the book is a newcomer to England from Belgium, and his name is Hector Perot. And so he's obviously, in my imagination, grows up to be the inspiration for the most famous detective in the world.
Does Miss Marple ever play a part?
Yes, she does, because in real life and in my book, the grandmother, Agatha Christie's real life grandmother, and the grandmother of Aggie Morton, Mrs. Jane Morton, is the inspiration for Miss Marple, and she takes part in some of the sleuthing for sure.
What I like about it, and I'm sure many parents would also agree, is that the books seem to be quite entertaining for adults too. So when we're reading it to our children, we're not just rolling our eyes talking about Dogman or something like that. So thank you.
I like to think that that's true. Certainly, I do seem to have acquired a readership who are in their 20s, like young women, and also grandmothers. People who are Agatha Christie fans get a kick out of reading them, because I try and show through different situations and dialogue and so on, where some of the titles or the ideas for her later books came to be. So that's for anyone who's read some of her books, there's that added bonus.
Yeah, I think if it was movies, they'd call it like Easter eggs. So
Right.
there's lots of little Easter eggs for us.
There are Easter eggs throughout, yes.
You have the books behind you. They look rather thick too. What age group are you aiming for?
I think they're probably best for 10 to 13-year-olds. The language is a little bit, in order to give it a slightly historical feel, there's a bit of flowery language here and there, and there are actual corpses and a bit of gruesomeness and so on. So I think a very proficient reader could read it earlier, but maybe not catch all the nuance. I'm not big on reading before you're ready to read the book. So I think as a read aloud for, you know, a parent with 2 kids of different ages, that would be fine too.
Is it illustrated inside, or is it just the cover?
Oh, yes, they're so beautifully illustrated. The covers are gorgeous, but also the illustrator Isabel Folath has created a portrait gallery in the front of each book so that you can check back and see the suspects, as well as here Aggie and Hector are the stars are right here. So every book has, and then there are illustrations at the beginning of each chapter as well to give you a hint at what's coming.
You've already answered the question slightly, but I know in the past you've incorporated or used the benefit of having your family illustrate some of your books, but this time it's somebody different.
Yes, and I mean, the author doesn't get to choose in most cases, especially in a novel situation. But I think that this illustrator was discovered on Instagram because she had created an entire world of highly suspicious characters, and so so the art director had found her and thought she was ideal, and I agreed. So I had the chance to go to Zurich and spend a day with her during the Aggie creation, and that was wonderful. She's a really good artist.
Yeah, I could see that, because that's something that authors of adult material never have to worry about, right? We don't have to worry about the illustrator. We can hire a gun to do the cover, and then we're done. But I guess you have to have, with all your books, not just these ones, a very good working relationship with your illustrator.
The world of picture books is so weird that traditionally the author and the illustrator have been kept apart. It's become harder and harder to do that in the last decade with social media, because they can connect. They don't care if the editor has told them not to talk to each other, but it helps if the author is happy with the choice, and if the illustrator is excited by the text that they've been offered. So the text usually comes first and then the illustrator afterwards, but the illustrator absolutely, especially in a picture book, provides half the story. So it's pretty essential that it's a good match.
Well, you mentioned some travel you did before COVID, but you've got some travel coming up soon too, which going to the UK sounds really fun. You must be excited.
I'm very excited. I'm going over for the purpose of the International Agatha Christie Festival, and that happens in September on the week of Agatha Christie's birthday, which is September 15th. And there are a lot of, believe it or not, scholars in the world, Agatha Christie scholars. So there are many nerds and devoted fans and people who really take this author seriously. And it's really interesting to see how many ways she can be parsed by different interest groups, or just people who are real serious fans. There are the completists who have read every single, 66 novels and 120 short stories. And then there are, people who look for different aspects of how she has created this incredible oeuvre. So I'm looking forward to a few days of just being with fellow nuts.
Are you planning on helping to sell books, or are you just going as a fan to enjoy yourself?
I'm going as a fan to enjoy myself this time. Hopefully I'll be back.
I know can't brush over the Edgar that you've won. The previous year you were a finalist for it, so you must have been very happy to know that they pulled your name this time, right?
It was unexpected to get 2 chances at this prize, and really shocking to win it. It was delightful to be there with my 2 daughters, who screamed throughout the the announcement. So that was very cheering, and it's all the more remarkable because only 5 crime books in each category are selected from the million that are published each year in in the category. So it's especially nice just to be in that final group.
I had the impression that you were done after these 4 books and you were moving on to something new, but if I'm wrong, I'm happy. But if I'm not, are all these awards making you think that maybe there should be some more?
Well, I think that's probably it for Aggie and Hector, although I have had 1 or 2 ideas for maybe short stories featuring them. But yes, my friends, my colleagues have all said, okay, you just won a huge prize for a mystery, so maybe you should be writing another mystery. And so that is in fact what I am writing, but it's not an Aggie and Hector or a historical mystery. It's just a whole new thing. So
Well, that's excellent news. Well, you won't have to wait long to find out if you won the Crime Writers of Canada Awards. It's tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's not a live event, but I know they've put a lot of work into the video. So second time, or maybe 2 awards in 1 month.
well, maybe, but it really is just exciting to be part of it. So thank you.
Excellent. And thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today. It looks like you've written an excellent series, and I'm going to run it by my children and see what they say. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me.